You never even hear this level of analysis from the average person on mainstream news. CNN talked to a reporter in Tehran who said people want this to stop.
Sayah. He is a journalist. He is based in Tehran. He is special correspondent for PBS NewsHour. He's also a former colleague, a former CNN correspondent. Can you just explain what's happening on the ground right now?
I'll explain it by saying that it's awful. It's awful, and I hate it. I hate it. I hate war, and I wish somehow this would end. And I have to think there has to be a way to make it end, because people are suffering, and in the view of many, they're suffering unnecessarily. I've seen some terrible things, airstrikes every day, that familiar sound of a jet flying over, and seconds later, you hear a large explosion and the plumes of smoke. I live here. I have a 7-year-old daughter, and the day where the initial strike happened that hit the supreme leader, she was with me, and I heard this earth shaking, boom, and I knew what it was, and I put her in my car, and I raced to the northern part of the town. She's away from Tehran now. She's along the campus.
Wow, you got a IRGC militant propagandist who worked for PBS, not Piker Broadcasting Service, subscribed to the Piker Broadcasting Service, and CNN back in the day.
Being to see with her mother where she's safe, but I miss her very much. I want to hold her, and she's safe, but many other people are not, innocent people. And I can't tell you about the gruesome images that I've seen. Men, women, and children, innocent civilians in their homes, in their cars, in their motorcycles, and these airstrikes come and they're ripped to shreds. And in so many instances where people are being pulled out of the rubble. Children, saw that at school that was hit, and that these people have nothing to do with this conflict. And my heart breaks for them. And my heart, as an American, I'm an Iranian-American, it breaks for Americans too, because they don't deserve to be viewed as someone who supports what many believe is a war machine. So I'm speaking from the heart, and I appreciate you listening to me, but there has to be a way to make this end. As journalists, we have to hold these people accountable, and we can't let these individuals start a war without them clarifying why. Why is it?
Bro, oh my God. Without them clarifying why? Brother, you just talked about like retrieving a person from like a bombing campaign. Bro, you can't get the American brain rot out. I swear to God. Like, dude, you could die. Like, you could literally die in the process of this interview. I cannot comprehend it. I cannot comprehend it. I will never understand it. I just don't know. I don't know how you have like liberalism is so deeply embedded in your mind, in your consciousness. I mean, it'll change. His perspective is going to shift inevitably. It always does. But what the? I just the problem is the war. The problem is the bombing. That's the problem. Sure, before the bombing, problem is IRGC, right? But post-bombing, problem is bombing. It's no longer IRGC. As a matter of fact, IRGC is the only thing holding the country together, no matter how difficult it is. At this very moment, it's it. That's it. Like, it's just, that's the functioning government. What comes next? There's no positive outcome here. Even if the American government had a design for Iran, I still would not trust it. And I would still say over and over again that, like, no, they're trying to do Libya. They're trying to do Libya. They're trying to do Syria. They're trying to do Iraq. They're trying to do Afghanistan. Like, there are different examples that you can pull from. There are different examples you can pull from that you can point to, that you can say they are not invested in a liberal secular democracy. Like, no matter how much you want to believe it, they want to create a fail state. They want to create constant conflict. They want to make sure that your people are wiped off, that your culture is wiped out, that like no one can live there anymore. That's just the truth. And I don't even need to say this anymore. I don't need to like try to convince people because the state isn't even convincing people this time around. Because, like, this means let these individuals start a war without them clarifying why it was necessary. To me, you're basically saying if they gave you the necessity, you'd be fine with it. If they had a better, like, next day forward plan, like the day after plan, you'd be fine with it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I guess I'm too stupid, or I don't fancy myself to be a nationalistic or patriotic person at all. But this is one thing that I cannot comprehend. The people's demand for dignity and sovereignty is the most understandable emancipatory need. I have it in my heart. I want it for everyone on this planet. So when I see, no matter how violent or how repressive a country is, when I see a foreign alien occupation come in and seize territory or destroy cultural landmarks or just like engage in carpet bombings and talk about potentially doing regime change, but with no real plan whatsoever. But even if they have a plan, I think to myself, no, this is unjustifiable. This is completely ridiculous. This is completely unacceptable. And it will set back plans of any sort of real popular revolution anyway. It's destroyed it.
So, Reza, when you talk to people there, and as this is continuing, how do they view the United States? I mean, I guess I'm asking you this. Can you separate it from how they view Israel? But right now, how do they view the United States?
Well, first of all, there's 90 million Iranians with 90 million voices.
Lots of Iranians don't have it as insane as that sounds. I feel around me, they don't give a shit about balkanizing and ethnic cleansing. They just want to take revenge on the government. Yeah, I mean, again, it'll change when the dynamic shifts. It'll change when the number of... The reason why people hate the Iranian government, the reason why Iranians hate the Iranian government is because for them, the number one repressive force in their lives has been the Iranian government. But that attitude changes very quickly, as a matter of fact, through consistent carpet bombing, okay? Because all of a sudden, you go, holy shit, I hate my government, but at least it's my people, and it's not just like some faceless, lifeless alien entity dropping 2,000-pound bombs on my head and killing my family members. Because up until that point, you're like, well, my neighbor got arrested, and he's in prison, and I don't know what his life looks like. He might be getting tortured right now. I'm terrified. Who did that? The IRGC. Okay, now your parents are being killed by America and Israel. All of a sudden, you're like, never mind. That's the evil I knew. This is a far greater evil. This is a far more consequential act. This is far worse for me overall. I don't know how people haven't quickly snapped into that reality, though. That's what I mean. I bet you Trump won't give Iranians TPS. Oh, that's the other side of this story. It's like when I talk to Venezuelans, right? When Venezuelans or Cubans try to do the bodies and spaces argument, like standpoint epistemology, be like, oh, how dare you commie talk to me about like my country that I've never been to, as a matter of fact, that my parents told me was run by vampiric monsters who just want to eat all the land and blah, 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 all this shit. When people try to do that shit to me, it's like, I don't even know, man. I'm Brandonizing at an alarming rate. I don't get it.
And one of the things that's sometimes amusing being a correspondent is someone comes to me and says, what are people thinking? And I don't know what 90 people are thinking. What I can tell you is, some people don't like this government. They don't mind.
Like, the Trump administration has deported Cubans. The Trump administration has singled out Venezuelans living on U.S. soil as the arch enemy of the movement right now. And there are still Venezuelans on temporary protected status that are literally moments away from being deported by another Hispanic person that's just been living here for at least one extra generation, usually more than half the time, are over here being like, no, this administration that's like singled me out and my people out as like the primary villains, unironically is actually invested in the betterment of Venezuelan society. Like, you're insane.
That the supreme leader is gone, and they celebrated his death. But there's millions of Iranians who are mourning his death. They loved him. He was their spiritual leader. And I think most people, millions of others, are just terrified. They feel helpless, and they want this.
By the way, the ironic side of this is, as this Turkish chatter is correctly pointing out, and I've said this before as well, if Iran was like a secular country, but it was anti-Zionist and had an indigenous missile production industry, and also wanted to stop Israel from engaging in these sorts of actions, do you think Israel still wouldn't blow it up all the same? Of course they would. They don't give a shit about Iranian sovereignty. They want to murder Iranians, and they want to destabilize the country. That's it. They don't want any threat whatsoever. They don't want any military pushback whatsoever.
When there's so much discussion now trying to understand, has there been a new supreme leader elected? What is the status of that? Who's in charge in Iran? We hear about from things that the foreign minister Aragji has said, which have made it clear that military units, some of them are operating on pre-agreed to plans, but basically in isolation, and that they're pursuing those plans. And there's a real question about who's running the country. Sitting where you're sitting right now in Tehran, do you know who's running the country?
Well, all you can go by is what the power structure is telling you. I think politically, it's the interim leadership council that's running the country. And then you have the military structure. And they've made it clear that there is no central command at this point. And that's done intentionally. Their strategy is something that's called a decentralized mosaic strategy. Which is an approach where you have in each province, forces in each province granted autonomy and independence. So if one of them is neutralized, the other ones keep going. In other words, there is no head of the snake to cut off. And that's how they're explaining that they're managing to launch all these missiles and drones at U.S. assets and U.S. bases in the region. So that's what they're saying. That's how they're leading the battle in the theater of war, the leadership.
Bro, it's kind of crazy how if you just know like basic things, I just realized like obviously this guy knows a lot about Iran. He's in Iran. He's Iranian. But like you never even hear this level of analysis from the average person on mainstream news. Because I was thinking like, wow, he's bringing up like the decentralized command structure that they have, like the mosaic system that they've designed as a contingency. And I realized like, if you didn't get that from me when I was talking to like Jeremy Scaler or whatever, you probably would have never heard that. If you only watch mainstream news, your understanding of the world is so wrong. It's kind of crazy. Like, I bet you if you ask the average American right now, like what America's doing in Iran, they'd be like, yeah, it's kind of fucked up, but also like we're really destroying these Iranian missile facilities, right? Like we're destroying them. They have no capabilities left, it seems. Because like Israel literally will come out and be like 78% of their missile production capabilities have been destroyed effectively or whatever the and it's like just no basic facts. Are you not even invested in this at all? Like you don't want to even know like basic things about even your enemy. If you're like, oh, these guys are my enemy, these are the evil guys. Like, don't you want to know? Aren't you curious? It's so crazy how incurious the average American is and how like, and these are the most educated Americans, like the ones that watch CNN. Like this is the first time I've heard the CNN. CNN has generals on all the time. They know. They don't even talk about it.
So, we're just showing images that we do out of Tehran, dayside images, Reza, taken during the day of some of the smoke. I think it's indelibly marked now in anyone listening's mental picture when you talk about someone on a motorcycle being ripped to shreds. The United States is investigating a strike on a girls' school. And according to Iranian state media, it's killed more than 100. I haven't seen that disputed. It was a horrific event. It was talked about today at a press conference by the U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and here's what he said.
All I can say is that we're investigating that. We, of course, never target civilian targets, but we're taking a look and investigating that.
What do you know, Reza, about what happened there?
I don't know much other than the first day of these airstrikes. This school with more than 150 schoolgirls aged 7 to 12 was the target of an airstrike, and it obliterated the school. Apart from that, we don't know if this was intentional. There's reports that this school was in a sprawling military base, and that's often the case in parts of Iran. There's sprawling military bases where people live there, they go to school there, there's supermarkets. Is that what happened? Did they locate this place as a military base and they accidentally hit the school? I don't know. But
God, Lordy. Oh my God, brother, please. Oh, dude. Yo, sorry, Iranians, y'all not gonna make it.
Bottom line is, more than 160 schoolgirls, many of them going to school pictured with hijabs, chadors, and they're just gone. And the scenes of the funeral were just terrible, gut-wrenching scenes. And it's very likely, based on my experience as a journalist, that when these attacks happened, and governments say they're going to investigate it, unfortunately, usually no one is held accountable.
Reza, thank you very much. We appreciate your time. Please.
Does Iran even have that kind of weaponry to do that kind of damage? Probably, but it's not Iran. I'm not even entertaining that, even for a second. Yeah. Also, having schools on bases is totally normal. As Cleric reports, the U.S. does the same thing. There's a school on almost every major base. It's even on Google Maps. I'm sure this could have been avoided regardless. Yeah, it's bullshit. Because in that school is not even that school is not even in a military base. Back in the day, it used to be. And that's why the Israeli government said, oh, they must have been working on old intel. And from what I understand, they actually double tapped it, which is even more psychotic. But the Israeli government literally said, oh, they must have been working on old intel back in the day. That used to be an IRGC stronghold or some shit. Also, they've struck 9 hospitals since then.
I know it sounds trite to say, but please stay safe. And thank goodness for your wife and daughter that they are. Thanks.
Thank you.